So we've been talking this hour about parking charges in City Council-run car parks in Cambridge, which could increase by around 9%. A consultation on the proposals got underway this week and also includes making it free to park overnight in those car parks. So we've heard what residents make to the idea. What about businesses? Ian Sanderson is the CEO of the Cambridge Business Improvement District and joins me now. Morning, Ian.
Good morning.
So it'll end up being more expensive to park during the day, but free overnight. So what's your verdict?
I think the overnight free is a very interesting approach. One of the key issues we have at the moment in the retail, hospitality and leisure sector is availability of staff. And at the moment, the buses kind of end about 8 and the park and rides about 8:30. So many staff can't get home after work. And so if they can park for free quite close to where they're working, then that will make it's easier to attract staff in the nighttime economy and also for customers coming in the evening as well.
And I suppose as well, there are hotels in Cambridge which don't offer parking or much parking. So for people thinking of coming to have a weekend away, they might say, oh, OK, it's going to be free to park overnight. Then we can go off for a trip during the day or something.
Yeah, that absolutely works. I mean, at the moment, strangely, some people check into a hotel. They then drive out to a park and ride, park there and then get the bus into the city, which it seems rather a roundabout way. So if they can, as you say, park for free overnight quite close to the hotel, that makes it more attractive for overnight stays. And clearly we're keen to encourage more people to stay overnight because they're adding more value to the city and enjoying the city more as well.
Are you concerned at all by just how much the prices are set to go up during the day? There are a lot of people, particularly at the moment, who just can't afford any more price rises. Yeah,
clearly these prices won't come into effect until April. That is 6-7 months away. One hopes inflation might have come off the highs of 10% by then. It'll still be quite high. Of course, that is a concern. But, you know, this is the first price rise for 4 years, and it is challenging times for all organisations, including the local authorities. So I think Cambridge is a very attractive place to come, and I think, like I said, I think the main plus, I think, for businesses is the free overnight parking.
So it sounds like businesses are relatively happy in that a lot of your customers are maybe coming in as tourists, as visitors having a special day out, because what we're hearing from listeners this morning is if you live in the local area, you've almost already ruled Cambridge out as a destination because the parking is so expensive already.
Well, I mean, I haven't heard your previous contributors, but an awful lot of our visitors who come to Cambridge for the day do live in the local necklace towns and the local regional towns. Of course, they can come by train. We hope that once the Greater Cambridge Partnership brings in the extra buses next year, which they're going to bring in as part of the sustainable travel zone, there'll be a lot more buses coming into the city from the region as well. So this, although we have quite a complicated transport management situation in Cambridge with lots of different authorities, this does kind of form part of a plan of having more buses delivered by the Greater Cambridge Partnership, and therefore we will be a more attractive place to come by bus in the future as well.
Do you ever get concerned, CEO of Cambridge Business Improvement District, that people won't come into Cambridge, they'll buy online? I mean, we've talked about the entire time I've worked in radio, we've talked about the death of the high street, and it has changed. Obviously, the face of the high street's changed a lot over the past 10 plus years. People do quite often go to retail parks where it'll be free to park for a number of hours, and a lot of people will see the cost of fuel to get in or the cost of parking and still really the cost of not only a bus ticket, but then if there's something quite large you want to buy, you've got to transport it back on a bus, that they may just be driven out of the city altogether, buy online, buy at the retail park where it's easier and kind of more convenient to park and take their car.
No, I think the high street is here to stay. There's no real doubt about that. I think it's about what the high street offers in the future, and the high street offers in the future experiences. There'll be a different mix on the high street in the future. You look at what is happening at the Grafton Centre. They've said they're going to have more offices there and probably some labs. I see more officers coming into the city centre. So the ground floor of the Guildhall now is offices, so bringing workers in each day, which is quite welcome regular footfall. So I think the high street will always be there, but it'll be very, very different to what it used to be. Online's been around for maybe 10 years now or so. Obviously, it grew a huge amount during the pandemic. It's obviously reduced as a percentage of overall shopping since that time. I think people want to we're all human beings. We want to go out with our friends for coffee and cake and lunch and drinks and see a show. And you can mainly only do that really in town centres or city centres. So I see the kind of social strength of a high street will remain and will be an important factor in the future as well.
Are you concerned that there is a certain determination from the City Council to get people out of their cars? Obviously, they're keen to improve air quality and reduce congestion, but it isn't. Obviously, they want to put money into buses and things, but maybe the alternative options for shoppers and workers aren't there yet.
Yeah, I would certainly agree with that. I think what we are seeing is a number of stealth things going on. So the recent changes to the road structure near the Royal Cambridge Hotel is causing some problems now regarding queuing into the city. A number of the back streets were closed during the pandemic for COVID reasons, which is a bit spurious, I think, quite frankly. We're seeing a lot of new cycle lanes going in. That's really important. But what we're not seeing is extra park and rides coming along quickly enough, and we're not seeing any additional buses coming along quickly enough. Now, to be fair to the Greater Cambridge Partnership and their congestion charge plans, they do intend to put 50 million behind new buses over time, and that will be a kind of carrot to the stick of the congestion charge. But you're right. I think there are some of these things happening at the time when we're not giving car drivers enough alternatives. I read this week that Mill Road will go to a committee meeting soon, and the Mill Road Bridge could once again close like it did during the pandemic, and that was also very difficult for people and businesses in the area. So what we'd like to see is a holistic approach to transport. You have the combined authority, you have the Greater Cambridge Partnership, have the County Council and the City Council, and most residents or businesses don't understand all that complexity. I sadly do, but you have these different organisations who've got different priorities and often pulling in different directions, and it'd be good to have an overall holistic approach at times.
Well, thank you very much for your time this morning. Ian Sanderson is CEO of Cambridge's Business Improvement District. We would love to keep getting your comments. Some of you have been bordering on enraged by the council's plans. What do you make to this idea of increasing car parking charges in Cambridge? As Ian pointed out, it's a consultation, and the increase wouldn't come in until April next year, when, fingers crossed, the situation for most people may be better. But of course, we will have lived through some potentially tough months between now and then, so whether or not we ever welcome prices going up is another thing. But will it actually put you off coming into the city? Are you happy that Ian was saying there we're seeing an increasing change on the high street where there are more offices rather than all of the shops we used to enjoy in the past? Are you more likely as well to come in during the evening if parking was free? And are you somebody who works in the city centre at night and is finding it extremely frustrating that you don't have anywhere to park necessarily, and you also don't have the option of buses at the moment? Do you worry that maybe the sort of support, the improved buses, may not come in quickly enough? Your thoughts, please. 08000 85 95 96 is our phone number. There's been quite a reaction to the idea that the money from the increased parking charges will go towards EV charging points. An anonymous comment: there should be a budget for electric chargers outside of the council's budget. I'm sure the government's got money for this. Martin and Ely: if they're going to increase fees for EV charging points, why should people who don't have electric vehicles pay for them? As for free parking overnight, well, that'll be no good because the shops are closed then. So yes, hotel users, bar users, people going to a gig may benefit, but obviously shops and cafes closed by the time that free parking comes into effect around 6. And Simon in Chesterton: I'm just glad I cycle everywhere and don't have the nightmare of Cambridge parking and how expensive it can be. Take a step